Ziggity Zig talking his way at a silver game number, I'm going to go ahead and say 14 because I forgot to check ahead of time. So this is a game between myself and Snor, being the Zerg player up here in the top left of Ohana? No, this is Condemned Ridge? I'm going to go with Condemned Ridge. I think that's accurate. So, having a quick look, income is finally on par because the split is always a little bit weird, but since I was up against a Zerg, I tried to find a better way of getting this wall off. Now, what I normally do is do a lot of short games, mostly because I don't really want to have too long of episodes, despite the fact that I did an entire lunch hour of laddering a couple of times, but for the most part, I'm going to stop saying for the most part, these talking this way to the silvers are usually for the short games, because the long games I'm never very good at. So I'm going to show you a game that I might be getting a little bit better at, some sort of mid-game expansion play. So yeah, I was either up against Zerg or random, so I set myself up to try to be ready to wall off. Now, I got lucky on the clockwise scout, because as we saw at the very beginning, Snor was up here in the top left, and I even remember the name of the map, Condemned Ridge. The only issue here is that it seems that Snor was, yeah, pretty low in the APM, just along the same with me. There's the spawning pool just going up, and I'm already at 12, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Maybe a little bit of a push, but probably not quite so bad. Get the gateway up, begin the wall. So, there is a wall right there. I'm pretty sure that works. Still getting my workers, keeping up to date on there, so my opening game seems to be alright. Now here's where I got a little weird. Well, not weird, but just confused. I wanted to keep my probe forward without taking one of these, because these two towers, when you're top-bottom, not all that useful. So I thought I'd sit here and try to see if I could spot for, I don't know, an expansion, waiting for the third. Turns out it didn't really need to be all that important, but I thought, well, I could sit here as well, because I could probably work on getting another pylon. Now there's another pylon there. Whenever I put a forward pylon, I don't end up using it quite as much as I could. Now, in this game, chances are I probably could have used it pretty well. Also, I get my gas there. How's the EPM going? Woo! Look at that blistering 15. Get my cyber core. Set up my gateway to point over here to the side of the cyber core, just leaving enough space. There's some additional supply right there. So the probe basically just sits up here and doesn't really do much of anything. It just waits. Which, I don't know, seemed alright to me. Looks like Snor getting a queen, getting a spine crawler, just sort of protecting the base for the moment. So basically the first unit of the zealot is coming out. Can afford another one, so why not? Throw out another one. 24, 26, probably start thinking about another pylon right about now, and yep, there it is. In fact, I apparently thought about it a few minutes ago. So the cyber core begins the research on warp gate technology. This little probie is still just sort of hanging out here. Not quite sure what I was working on. I was just trying to get myself all ready to go. So this zealot is almost ready, and once I have 100 gas, I am pretty much set to get one more zealot. I was doing the math in my head here, and I can afford a zealot and a robo-bay. So I did the robo-bay first, just in case I didn't think of something. Not quite boosting my core there, which is annoying. So I think... Ooh, wait a minute. Did he see that? Did see that. Curious. Boosted. Worker supply. I'm doing quite well at income right now. Staying ahead, which is fun. So trying to get... So I'll have 3 zealots out on onset. Not quite ready for the rest. Double gate comes out now. They're going to be a little bit behind that, but that was probably because I put down the robo-bay. He comes up for a tiny little peek. Sees that. Does notice, but probably not exactly, unless he was paying very close attention to what he saw up that ramp, which you never know, and clicked on it in time, then he might not know that I have that robo-bay already. Start off in the observer. Effective APM. Still on 20. Not making any further workers, mostly because I think, yeah, happened to be pretty saturated by then. So there's my sentry. Research is complete. Could probably warp in something right now, but now the problem is I don't have any pylons and I'm supply blocked at 34. Annoyed. Try to get an Immortal out. Not sure why, because I haven't quite scouted for it yet. Probably a second Observer right now would have made a lot more sense than that. Definitely have enough money for a Scout if I don't see anything untoward, so we'll see what this little Observer looks at. Around this point, 7-minute mark to the 12-minute mark, this is pretty much where the game is decided for me. So a few things happen here, if I remember correctly. I scout the Expo finally just sort of happening there. Then I see a bunch of this, which is a bit brutal, but I do have a sentry up here. So I spot this. I don't cancel that in time. It does die. So does the probe, if I'm not mistaken. I should have canceled it. Meanwhile, I think I was looking at my scout up here, and I was seeing things like Infestation Pit and Evo Chamber, and I thought, Infestation Pit? Weirdness. So I brought out a couple of Stalkers and a sentry to hide behind, and check this out. Don't I just love it when I do this? It drives me crazy. I always get stuck in behind things. I think I eventually blow up this gateway to get my way around. Putting down some more pylons and getting a few more Stalkers. So basically I'm ready with range. Then, oh, that was a badly placed force field. That was terrible. What happened there? That was atrocious. I don't know what was going on. So here are these, with getting a +1 upgrade on these Zerglings, but managed to keep it away. Even did a small, tiny, microscopic amount of micro just there to keep this Stalker alive with 2 kills, but he's not the best. The best Stalker is the 5-kill Mentor up there, and I finally realize how much money I've got. Try to do something about it. Meantime, I'm here in the base, leveling all the way up to Hive based on the Infestation Pit, and there is a Hydralisk Den. So I say to myself, Hydralisk Den and Infestors, the Immortal and any subsequent Immortals are not going to be helping me here. So I think, alright, what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to use the Immortal to take out that gateway any minute now, and then I make an interesting decision that I never ever make. Let's see if I can get any force fields properly down here. Nope. No, there's one. There's 2 really bad ones, so that didn't work out quite so well. But, I don't know, maybe save a unit or 2. Here's this guy still hanging in there. 8, the Mentor does quite well. Still nothing. My opponent continues to birth in a bunch of Zerglings. I bring my Observer back to have a look at this third base for some reason, even though I'm not actually... I'm in no danger of my opponent taking a third base. So another Observer. I scooch down. I did see a little Zergling just over there. So Snor had a Zergling sitting down there in the bases. Let's see if he takes anything out. He takes out 1. Apparently it took me quite a while to notice this. 2, 3. Oh, come on. Notice. Notice! Oh, 3. Almost 5. Probably could have got 5 had he been paying a little bit closer attention. Here's these 5 gates and my Robo Bay. I'm not quite sure what I'm working on here. I think I'm mostly worried about my gate and having enough sentries to force field off at the ramp. Got my Observer up here, and my second Observer is over here at the back of his natural. Having a quick peek. It definitely does not look like, well, keeping up in the worker supply, but I definitely have the army edge at the moment. Hydralisks and whatnot, and Overseers, and I don't know. So decided to give some ground, some weapons 1. Having a pretty, yeah, decently caught up over there. Finally decide to get the Immortal to get his way out of there, and then warp in a Warp Prism, because I think, what else am I using this for? Now, I could move up and move into Colossus, which I think I eventually do, but for now, I just decide, you know, it's sitting there doing nothing, I might as well get something out of it. Here comes the Immortal, so I do have my 2 Observers, 1 kind of at the front, and 1 in his base, which I lost. This probe is still just hanging out and really doing alright. So I now have my army all set. Try to see if there's anything I can do. I've been trying to listen to a little bit of advice on where to position them, so I try to keep my zealots in the front. That's my new plan. Here's my warp prism. My new plan is to try to do something with warp prism, which I never do. And yeah, there we go. So the robotics bay going down roughly at the same time that you get the warp prism out. So this was sort of my transition. I decided, hey, I'm going to transition into Colossus, but since I'm not really doing anything with the Robo Bay, then I might as well make something, so I made a Warp Prism, and I barely ever do things like Warp Prism play. What's going on here? I got two of them. This probie seems to be going this way. Or is that... Not quite certain how I did that, but okay. Meantime, keeping my army here at the front, just in case, so it's not a full-on attack. Oops. Still outgunning him in worker supply, mostly because we both apparently are quite bad at macroing. Cause, oh man, look at that. Yes, I should be doing a lot better now. But apparently it all probably comes down to the EPM. No, he's roughly up to a decent number. It's just me that's not doing all that well. However, this is the first time I've ever tried doing any sort of warp prisming. I am getting some Colossus. Definitely should be getting some more, and I'm getting in 2 pylons as well, but I should be getting some more drone. Or probes. I should be probing up, doing something about this. So let's see how these guys do. I tried another warp in of zealots right after that, trying to see what I can do about this. They hold off the minor zerglings, come in here, I try to get a couple of kills, worker supplies at 39, Snor, let's see if I do anything about that. Doesn't really... Did I get any? Why didn't I get any? Appears to have taken things out. However, save the warp prism for another day.
I am here in the shadows.
Still a hidden supply, so basically I think it just comes down to the fact that I would have lost this game had it not been for the fact that my opponent was just as bad as me at getting this kind of stuff done. So, and I'm also trying to look at my minerals, and I'm realizing that I'm very, very mineral heavy, and I can't really spend this fast enough, so the chances are at this point I probably should have thrown in quite a number of either just kind of warping in lots of zealots, get lots more gateways. I didn't have enough. What was going on? What was I doing? Just trying to get my Colossus on the way. Meantime, I was hoping to have charge lots, and so at 17 minutes, charge lots is pretty much the way that you want to be going. Did have this Colossus ready. I think they tried to focus it down, so I left them to take care of themselves, and decided let's do something about down here. Or did I? Did I? I might have. Thought a little bit about these guys, and then I was trying to multitask somewhat, but it wasn't working all that well. So here comes 4 more, and let's see if they do anything about the worker supply. Doesn't look like they are, does it? These zealots. Oh, one! We got one! Yay! And maybe it was just the fact of kind of throwing them off. I was kind of happy with the fact that I kept the warp prism alive, and as you can tell, I am getting mined out at my main, because by 18 minutes, I haven't taken a third yet, but at the same token... Oh no, you can sort of see a third being taken by my opponent, who is spread out all over the map, who's probably playing much better than I am. However, worker supply is just not quite cutting it. I finally remember that I should be macroing, so I start trying to do something about that. Now, the only issue there is that I keep getting supply blocks, so I can't spend any of my money. I am making far too much money going on right there. I am getting charge, and I'm also getting +2, having the pylon block problem. Chrono expired in a few places, so let's see what's going on down here. I believe what I finally decided to do here is, yep, there we go, here's my 3rd expansion. Or my, yeah, 2nd expansion, realistically. So then I see these Hydralisks move out, and I think, hey, wait a minute, don't I have a Colossus almost with extended thermal lance? And yeah, there's the extended thermal lance. So we move out. I see a little bit in here, and whoop, there we go. Oops, slightly out of position. Hydralisks and Zerglings all trying to run away and not doing quite so well, because that was, I thought that was some force fields that went raw the well. Army and worker supply going quite well. There is this on its way in. Luckily only coming up against ground units, which I thought went quite well there. Effective APM still at only 27, so I'm not having the best mid-ish game, if you can call it that. Weapons 2 plus some Colossus with extended thermal lance and some charge lots in here. Now the only issue here is that I came to take him out at his main base. Now if he were any stronger, this would not be working. However, Snor is not all that strong at the moment. So I do get this base started, but I don't think there's a gold in this one. So I work my way up, and I force field off this ramp here, although it's mostly just the spine crawlers that I need to worry about at the back. And probably some of these Hydralisks just here, but the Colossus will take care of those. Trying to see if I can maintain anything down there, and he does have a little bit of range up here on the ramp within the Hydralisks, but I have force fielded the ramp, and I think I back off at this point, but maybe I don't. It's possible that Snor backs off instead. I do finally have... I do have a pylon right over there. Another... Let's see, this would be a +2 with extended thermal lance Colossus, so having 2 Colossus up here, that really does turn the tide quite handily. I got +3 on its way now. So here I come up there. You did see the little sneaky third base down here somewhere. So this is where the issue comes in for me, is I'm trying to make some more units. I'm trying to take care of my money and my gas. I'm a little high in the gas, so probably high Templar into Archon right now should be what I should be working on, but at this point in the game, I'm kind of confident about things, and I just need to keep on top of myself in order to do something about it. Trying to take care of the macro hatch and whatnot. So I think I eventually get close to the fact of, yeah, I don't really have that many workers. Are they all here? Yeah, there they all are. So another probe, a few more sentries down there. Here comes another Colossus, so I basically had my Colossus only on one base. This Warp Prism decided to just keep an eye on these Overlords and Overseers in the corner, just to the edge. I'm doing alright for supply right now. I'm not quite sure how and why, but here I feel I'm taking out most of Snor's buildings and resources and tech. Mostly the tech, because this is all pretty mined out up here. Not natural wasn't. Got a few Zerglings hanging out of the back. So once again, I'm fairly certain, even though he's up to 41 APM, not quite where you want that to be. So here's where I get attacked down here. Luckily, I did have a couple of cannons that I threw in, but at this point, I probably want to warp in, just do a small warp in, slightly sizable warp in. I was up to 8 gate at this point, so I was sort of building gates up here in my main to take care of things. I was still only on 1 robo was the problem, but the 8 gate was enough to take care of this. Getting rid of the detection, so luckily he didn't come in at me with any kind of burrowed roach or whatnot. Pretty confident about these Overlords over here. But this was when I realized that, my opponent is not being revealed. I need to figure out what to do here. So I started trying to figure out how to just check places. And I think I sent these guys out on their own just to go have a look. So if we have a peek now, yeah, they run into these Zerglings right there. And I do chase them. Not quite certain where they're going. I think they're looking for my hidden, or my expansions. Because I lose out on that. Or do I wait? So they come in at me again. The income is pretty heavy in my corner. I do manage to get a small warp in up there. Totally forget about these guys, which is annoying. But double base destruction, so I was able to keep this warp prism going and just beam in some units underneath the warp prism. Although these were only expansions, his sort of main base was up over here where he got a new spire and a new spawning pool. So the Mutalisks were on their way back. These Zealots seem to do some decent work down here. Meantime, more Colossus, rest of the Stalkers, everyone else up here. Do they see this? No, guess not. A few drones on their way down. Rest of my army just comes in here. I'm at almost 158 by this point, and I finally do see this creep right here. And the Mutalisks come around the back, which is sort of unfortunate, as they take out a couple of these Colossus before I realize what's going on and decide to try to move them out of the way. Luckily, a lot of these Stalkers come up and save my business. And on the last base, Snor finally GG's out with just not enough units left. So, I don't know, this is a longer game that I'm actually kind of proud of, despite the fact that I didn't really play all that well. By 27 minutes, I was only 3 base in, but it wasn't very proactive. I just tried to move slowly forward, try to play solidly, try to defend myself or leave myself defendable, which I think, for the most part, worked, despite the fact that I was up against an opponent who was not really all that good. So here was a game I was feeling about until I looked at it. Lesson learned, you shouldn't watch as many replays as I do. Oh, leave me a comment down below, send me an email, ziggitysig@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter, @ZiggyStarcraft. Stay tuned.